UPS man just showed up, brought 3 packages. Let's see what they are. A7R Mark III. The Sony Switch is about to begin. Another Sony A7R Mark III. These are called Altai Hawk skis, and they got little universal bindings on them with skins on the bottom. A winter exploratory tool. Basically replaces snowshoes, so pretty stoked on these. More to come. All right, for today's vlog, I'm gonna talk about something that I'm just really passionate about. It's more of an idea, and it's pursuing things that are really, really challenging. Things that are challenging and things that are hard, you know, things that take sometimes years and years of time and investment to do, like when you actually complete them, they're just incredibly rewarding. So upstairs in my room, above my bed, I have a piece of paper with just like a list of there's like 100 things on this list. And it's kind of like a bucket list as well as goals and just kind of words to live by. And it's something that I see every single day when I wake up. I look up and I see that piece of paper, and it's a constant reminder. It kind of keeps me focused and on track. And I got some crazy bucket list items on there, like go to Electric Daisy Carnival, run an ultra marathon. I really want to be a ski instructor. There's also like words to live by, like always be a yes man. Basically say yes to adventures, like always just do it. Even if you're tired and you don't want to, just do it. You'll always regret not going, but you'll never regret going. The other thing I have on there, hunting related, and that's to shoot 180-inch mountain mule deer in Montana. It's not the number so much that I'm after, it's more that number reflects an animal that is extremely rare in Montana. Looking for a mule deer that big is like hunting a ghost or like hunting something that may or may not even exist. You don't really know. It just takes a serious amount of time and commitment, and I love that idea. So for me, hunting has really become a year-round pursuit. I love building a knowledge base on areas, on the animals in the areas, on movement patterns of animals, pretty much everything that pertains to variables that affect wildlife. Like, I'm just super intrigued by that. This pursuit has led to shed hunting, which is a great physical outlet, as well as just a really awesome way to, again, build knowledge, specifically on the animals, the size of the animals that live in areas, population densities, the type. I learned so much in shed season that I reapply throughout the whole year. And really there hasn't been a day when I've been in the woods and I haven't learned something. And you know, every one thing you learn, no matter how big or small it is, it's just part of that kind of greater puzzle of hunting and the outdoors and just figuring it out. So flashback to 3 years ago, and I found this mule deer set way up in the mountains. Measured him out, and with, you know, say a 24-inch spread, he'd score a little over 170. 2 years later, I found this guy 2 ridges over, and he's kind of spindly, but he's super tall and super long. Again, given a 24-inch spread, he was identical on the other side. That put him at like 168, so again, pretty good deer. So the population density of mule deer in this zone that I've been picking these sheds, it isn't very high. There's really not that many deer in there. What it does have going for it is it's really steep and it's really thick in a lot of spots. It just has the potential to grow a really big old buck. So with this knowledge that I gained from really 3 years of shed hunting it, this November I decided to go in with the rifle and see if the rut might turn up bigger deer. So late in the afternoon on my first day hunting in there, this buck pops out like 2 miles away. Without a doubt, biggest mule deer I've ever seen in Montana. About 45 minutes later, I was on a knob 390 yards from both these bucks. I've shot plenty of times out to 400 yards and beyond that. I'm not proficient at that distance. I know some guys are, and some people are really dialed with their rifles. I just am not. This time when I was looking at him, I couldn't help but think that I'd picked his shed that previous year, and I'm pretty sure it's this one. That deer was super tall, really tall. This one's super tall. He had real big distance here before he forked in the back. And then right here, you can see there's a little blade right here, which I found in the past typically will mean that next year they'll actually make a kicker right there. So he had a little bit of a kicker coming off right here. So hard to say for certain, but I was pretty sure that this is the antler off that buck. If this antler is basically puts that deer at 168. He's even wider than I thought. He gained a lot of mass. His forks are a little bit deeper, and he's got kickers. I would say he easily gained 10 inches, which kind of puts him right up in that kind of mythical Montana mule deer creature status, so pretty cool. There was one more knob between me and the deer. Kind of worked my way up this knob. I got up to the top, and I looked straight across, and I could see the one buck right 200 yards, and so I set up on my backpack, and I was starting to lose daylight, so I was getting kind of antsy and creep up and over a little bit bit more, I should be able to look down and see him. And so I inched my way up there, and I put a juniper bush that was right up on top between me and all the deer on the other side, just so I wouldn't get picked out. I get almost to the top. Next thing I know, big deer antlers go whoop right behind the juniper bush. It's the buck, and I can see from here up, and he's 25 yards away. And I was shaking real bad, and that deer just bolts. I yell real loud. I just go, "Hey deer!" Stops, turns broadside, whips around, looks up at me. Of course, there's a bunch of trees in the way. Right as he's going into the timber, he kind of slowed down, and I took a shot at like 150 yards. There's like 2 feet of snow on the ground, so I was able to trail him for about half a mile. No blood, no sign that he was hit at all. And actually, right at last light, I saw him at 300 yards again, trailing a doe. I was really bummed, but really excited. One of the coolest encounters I've ever had hunting. Like, I've seen some wild stuff, and just to have it go down in that way, it was just crazy. 2 days later, go back to the same exact spot. Half an hour into first shooting light, 200 yards below me, boom, somebody shot. And I looked down in the timber, and I could see 3 hunters. Watched them walk up, pulled this buck out of the snow, and it's this really big, wide, and tall 4-point with matching kickers on each side. So I was super bummed, and so I just sat on the hill, ate a sandwich. And so if anyone knows of a dandy mountain buck that looks very similar to this buck, if they know who the hunter is, I'd love to connect with that person. It'd be really cool to share some stories. So after that day, went into a sheep unit with my buddy Isaac. We got incredibly lucky. We went into a spot that guys will spend multiple seasons and not even see a sheep, and my first time ever going in there. Spotted 3 rams, 1 was legal. More on that encounter in a future vlog. And after that, I headed to some lower country looking for mule deer with a couple buddies. Saw a lot of great deer, and my friends Max and Jake actually both took their best mule deer. Time was kind of winding down. I was near an area where I had actually picked these whitetail sheds last spring, and these sheds, I'm 100%, well, 99% sure it's from the same deer. This is a 2-year-old shed, this is last year's shed. Really big, beefy moose of a whitetail for Montana. So I decided to go check that out. Starting to feel a little bit down and out this season. I've passed on, I think, like 55 deer this year. Yeah, tonight, right off the bat, spot a couple whitetails, and so I threw the spotter up, and one of them ends up being a pretty big. I think he's got 6 points on each side. I'm not really sure, but. There he is. Gorgeous buck. Look at this thing. Really pretty deer. Actually thought he was a buck that I passed on a few days ago, but this one has got these little extra points here, and the one I passed on the other day doesn't. They're super similar, but I think this guy's a fair bit bigger. So pretty cool. And the craziest part is that I'm within dragging distance of a road, which pretty appalling. Maybe not appalling, lucky we'll call it. I'm not used to that. I'm used to packing them out, so. You know, really, I mean, I can contribute that a missed opportunity on the biggest mule deer I've ever seen in Montana, and as well as pulling the trigger on my best whitetail to date. Really just to, to shed hunting and to kind of that ever-growing knowledge base on hunting. So the general hunting season in Montana is over now. I'm already plotting some like winter ski/scouting missions to try to find some bulls and bucks that, they just aren't being pressured anymore, and so they're kind of coming out of hiding. Then before we know it, it'll be shed season. And so there's a lot of mountain time ahead, a lot of big photo trips I got coming up. I will be trying to vlog every single bit of it. All right, that's all for today. If you like this video, hit the like button and subscribe. That would help me out a ton. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.